Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you all here. We're just waiting for Bakar to come and we should be starting in about 4 odd minutes.
Yep, we are live.
Just getting a little bit of an audio video test. In Devashish is asking if you're going to carry forward next season. Of course,
Of course.
the FPL Wire is very much going to carry on into next season. So if you have Bakar's stats, the Leeds
Ooh.
one on the screen, the PPT.
Yep, I fixed that.
All right. Great. Anybody in the chat? Is the audio video sounding okay?
Testing audio, video. I think it's fine. We tested it before. It'll be fine.
Yeah, just making sure that the stream is
I'm picking everyone up here also. Once Bakar is back, we can look to kick off.
Everybody wants to see Bakar dancing. I don't think people have come to this.
Yeah, literally, yeah. This is.
That meme is going to last till 2030, at least.
I think it's going to end with like 1 million views. I won't be surprised.
I'm pretty sure it's already crossed 1 million. I was thinking closer to like
100,000 views already.
Yeah, at least like 200 million, 300 million.
Yeah, I think everybody celebrating a haul is going to be using that video now.
Precisely.
Yeah, for once and for all. I think it's already been quoted like 20-25 times after I posted it for different reasons. I think it was posted by someone who owned Castagna last night as well.
Are you sure that wasn't you?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Shout out to Joe. I was really happy for him. Managed to get that Castagna goal. He's into the final 32 of a cup run. He was actually not paying so much attention, but everybody in that chat was very excited for him getting into the final 32. Shout out to Arya as well, who's an Indian in the final 32 in the cup run. Any of y'all have had anything close to a good
I don't think I've made it past Gameweek 20. I think normally the third round is when I go out.
Yeah, same. Just not seen a big game for you tomorrow. Tomorrow or day after? Tonight.
That's why I'm kitted out.
Big game. What do you fancy your chances?
I actually do. I think away, especially I think we'll be playing Aspie at right wing back, so we won't be leaving as many spaces as Trent did. But I like Tuchel in big games, but at the same time, Zidane is probably the master of these knockout stages. So.
Yep. It's going to be really interesting.
It's never fun going up against Zidane in a cup match.
Yep. Even the other game is a cracker. PSG City.
Absolutely.
Absolute cracker. I mean, I quite like that Pochettino is the one managing them.
Yeah, it's Pochettino Guardiola again.
Yeah, it's going to be great. They've given us possibly one of the best UCL semi-finals we've seen ever. So
that final goal, right? That Laporte disallowed goal.
Yeah. What a moment that was. It's crazy.
I never forget Pep how he turned around, fell on his face, and was so dramatic.
And with PSG, they're struggling in the French league as well, so they can't actually afford to rest people in their league. Lille are first. They're 1 point behind, so this crucial month coming up for them.
Yeah, I haven't been following. La Liga is really close.
La Liga, it's the only
La
league
Liga
that's fun
so
at
much
the moment.
fun this year. Oh, absolutely, so much fun.
Yeah.
It's wide open.
All right, we're 160 now. I think wait for a minute and
wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll be starting right on time.
Yeah. 165. I wasn't expecting so many in the chat on an afternoon on a Tuesday. So thank you guys for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button right now. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. FPL fan show. I think that's FPL Prince in the chat. He's asking why you're spending so much time on stats when you have so much swag. Any moves planned for the pod, Bakar?
I'll leave it as a secret till we start. Let that remain a secret.
Wow, Bakar does have something.
We await with bated breath.
Yeah. Abhishek is saying he loves Frankie and thanks for. He's thanking me for the help. I hope your neighbor is doing better as well.
Yep.
Everybody's like, work can wait in the chat. Yes, one of the few benefits of working from home, you can watch an FPL stream whenever you want to in the middle of a working day. All right, it's 4:01. I think Zoff, we're good to go
Let's
now.
go.
You can hit the record button.
Right. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the 31st episode of the FPL Wire powered by DreamSetGo. We are recording ahead of Gameweek 34. I'm your host, Zophar. Before we start off with the pod, we just wanted to get a message out to our viewers around the world and especially in India. Please follow COVID protocols and social distancing. Get vaccinated if and when you can. If there is anything we can do to help, please reach out to us on Twitter and we will retweet and share to help in whatever way we can. I'm joined as... sorry, LR, I haven't introduced you yet. I'm joined as usual by my co-host Lateriser. How's it going, buddy?
And just wanted to reiterate that first, especially everybody in India. These are tough times that our country is going through. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, your loved ones. Make sure you're doing the smart, safe things. And like Zoss mentioned, we have a reach on Twitter. So we'll be, if there are any concerns or if there are any things that you need amplified on Twitter with regards to COVID, we're very, very happy to do so. In fact, we were having a little bit of a chat and we weren't feeling too up for the pod considering what's happening, but I think everybody can use a little bit of FPL and a little bit of entertainment. Speaking of entertainment, what an entertaining week it has been. We were here not long ago on Thursday and Bakar was losing his patience when we were probing him about Lingard. Lingard blanked. Bakar danced. His video went absolutely viral. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out right now. It went so viral that Bakar's phone got corrupted again, considering the sheer number of DMs he got in Twitter. And those DMs led to Bakar getting wood thrice in 45 minutes. Not just that, he also managed to get 69 this week. So big man Shaker, he's in the house. What's up, Bakar?
Oh my God, how much time did you actually put into this? planning all of this to throw at me?
No planning, man. You're the talk of the town. Got the moves. Say hi to everybody.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thoughts and prayers with everyone affected. I was reading up on the news in India, and things are looking particularly scary. So my thoughts are with all my Indian brothers. Stay safe and stay at home. It was a great week. I ended up on 69 points. A net score of 57, I'd like to call it rather.
That completely forget the 57, 69.
Who cares about it? 69 maybe.
I got Castagna, Konsa, Jota and Trent in for a hit, and things weren't looking that great before yesterday, but I'm glad that Castagna got me the 9 points, which I needed this week, and I've got myself a decent green arrow. So yeah, I'm very happy with how the week has went. Particularly considering the Lingard blank as well. That's all I really needed.
Right. So these were the scenes in the Bakar household when Lingard blanked. For those of you guys who haven't seen the video, we're playing it for you. Right
Look at those moves.
I mean, those moves. Flexibility comes with age, right? I'm not sure Zoff has it in him to pull it off. Do you have
absolutely nowhere near
the same panache?
Nowhere near.
I highly doubt it.
No, Guruji.
You know, strange thing happened this week. There's this cousin of mine who watches the pod sometime. I haven't met him for a while. I met him this week, and he asked me that why are the two people on the pod, and particularly there's this one uncle who really who bashes you. So why does he do it? Does he do it on purpose? So I asked him, which guy are you talking about? Are you talking about the guy with the beard, or are you talking about the other guy? He says, "Oh no, I'm talking about the bald uncle." So Mr. Bald Uncle, the world wants to know
the bald man rule the world, buddy.
Literally bash me every single week.
I don't bash you, buddy. You just play the victim. In fact, we have to play this video once again, by the way. This was also the scene when Wood got his hat trick.
I think I just need to get some popcorn and let you talk. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the show. Let us start with the podcast. Let us start.
So guys, disclaimer. No, wait, hold on. The disclaimer, there are going to be a lot of very bad jokes. I need a laugh. So Yeah, this start. So Bakar, you said you got woods 3 times. So can we call it a threesome?
Well, I haven't come as well prepared as you guys have, so I'll let you have your moments when you have it. So yeah, let's move on. Let's get the pod started finally.
How,
But 69, Bakar, that was a great. I'd say some
I'd
would
like to
call
call
it
it a
a.
net score of 57.
No, but I just thought it was a penetrative performance taking you up through the ranks. Just wanted to
also
say,
one more. So Bakar, how do you know how long you've had wood for? Take a guess.
I like to say nothing to that. Let's
Check.
just leave it at that.
Check your logs.
Zoph, I'm very tempted to leave the meeting already.
Yeah.
I'm very tempted to leave the meeting already.
Hey, Bakar, I think it's all fair play. Don't worry about it. Okay,
Yeah,
Zoph,
sure.
Obviously, we were just talking around.
let's get back to the FPL. Zoph, how was your week?
Week was all right, 54 points. It's funny that I had a game week rank of 900k the last week, 500k this week, but I still seem to be getting red arrows. It's quite funny. But it's more or less the same. I'm at like about 9k now. Hopefully, the next few weeks should see upward movement. Somehow, FPL is the last thing I feel like talking about right now.
I completely understand, but we need to like zoom in. I think a few people are here for FPL advice as well, but the chat is completely blowing up at the
Who
moment.
watches this part for FPL advice?
That's true, especially given the end of the season. But yeah, we're here to entertain. That's what we are. We're just poor comedians here to entertain. That's all. Entertain. I mean, dancing, laughing, poor jokes. You have it all on this podcast.
Right. Should we get the sponsor shout outs out of the way?
Yes, we should.
Right. Quick word about our sponsors. DreamSetGo is a global portal for fans to gain access to sporting events around the world. Accommodation, flight tickets, hospitality, stadium visits, everything can be tailored exactly to your requirements. They also do celebrity experiences, which include masterclasses with your favorite sports celebrity or something as simple as birthday shoutouts. You can find links to the products in the description below. The FPL Wire is a part of the Fantasy Scout Network, and all stats used in this podcast are taken from the FFS members area. Please sign up if you haven't already.
How did you switch from that to this in like a second? Good job by you. Well done. Also want to say a big thanks to OneFootball for sponsoring today's stream of the FPL Wire. It's available on both Android and iOS and completely free to download. So click on the link in the description below. Now you can get news about your favorite teams as well as news about the top 5 leagues. It has a load of stats every game, including those that are relevant to us as fantasy managers, such as shots in the box, shots on target, and loads of others. You even have short video clips where you have the best goals and manager and player interviews. Now, in case you guys don't already know, we started the FPL Wire League. You can see the league code on the screen for the benefit of our listeners. The league code is DOC0YG. Now, every week, the manager of the week in our league wins a DreamSetGo shout out from one of the DreamSetGo celebrities. This week, the winner gets a shout out from Jaydev Unadkat, who's an informed bowler for the Rajasthan Royals. And next week, the winner gets a shout out from the legendary Harbhajan Singh. We all know what he's done in the past for India, an absolute cricketing legend of our country. Now, taking you guys through the agenda for today, we're going to continue with some jokes. After that, we have the game week review. We're going to be talking about Leeds United. We're going to be talking about the Jota and Bruno Conundrum. A lot of people are thinking about selling one or both at the moment and what our opinions are with regards to that conundrum. We're going to be talking about Watford and Norwich. These two teams are confirmed and they'll be going to be joining the Premier League next season. After that, we have your usual fare, your hot fixtures, captains, our own teams, and the Q&A. So let's start with the game week review, guys.
Yep, let's start with that. There's also the FA Cup, not the FA Cup, the Carling Cup. Carabao Cup. We'll talk about that right at the end. Let's touch upon first Arsenal-Everton. Did either of you guys watch this?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Yeah. I saw about 40 minutes of the game. And I thought Arsenal were the slightly better team on the day, but a bit of a nothing game generally. And Leno absolutely just gifted that goal to Everton. Not much else to say.
It was shocking. I actually saw the highlights that Leno was quite shocking. But neither team really created much from the stats or the data.
Nothing
at all.
It
was in truth, it was a poor game to watch on Honestly, it should have been 0-0 had it not been for Leno's howler. But yeah, other than that, nothing much to add. Arsenal's defense is, their numbers of late have been good, and they've been unlucky to actually concede. In the previous week, they conceded a penalty to Fulham, and now this week again they conceded to a howler. So their stats are good. I'm sure they will keep a few clean sheets till the end of the season. So if you have Holding or Leno, the points will probably come. As far as the Everton attack is concerned, a lot of people are asking about DCL and Richarlison. I don't really think this is the exact game from which we can assess where the Everton attack lies. To be honest, and I do think there's potential given their fixtures to come.
Especially with a good fixture in 34 and a
36.
double game week
Yeah,
as well.
34.
Yeah, 36. Sheffield United home in 36, and even Villa at home this week is a decent fixture given that Villa's defensive numbers have completely slumped.
Yeah, and the potential double game week is good looking as well. So, especially worth monitoring what happens there.
But they're out of race for Champions League now, right? It's just Europa League they're playing for.
Yep.
At one point, they were actually in contention for the Champions League spots.
Yeah. So DCL is a punt. I think some people might go for. Some people might go for Siggy, who's been doing pretty well. But I just want to point that out with regards to Siggy, that he was actually playing a lot further forward when DCL wasn't in the team. With DCL in the team, the setup is slightly different. So just wanted to add that as well. Something worth noting.
Yeah, just another question. Someone in the chat was asking regarding James Rodriguez. James Rodriguez, his most of his returns this season have come at home, and I noticed that only twice has he returned away from home this season, and both the games in the double are away, West Ham away and Villa away. So I'm not sure whether I'd be going there, even though even if you look at it, I mean, he has Villa at home in 34 and then Sheffield at home in 36, but in the double itself, both the games are away. So I'm not sure about James' potential in the double itself.
Yeah, plus how often has he played 2 close games back to back this season? Never?
Yeah, he's dodgy. I probably won't go there.
Yeah, Carlo manages him. Let's move on to the big game. I think Liverpool won, Newcastle won. Such a disappointing game.
Yeah. Go on. Why don't you tell us, Zoph, about it?
I mean, Salah had so many. I think he had 4 chances created, 3 shots, 2 big chances. Mane had 6 shots, all 6 of which were in the box. Jota had also around 4 to 5 shots in the box, but they just managed to score that one goal in the 3rd minute. And as a Salah captain, right, in the 3rd minute when you get a goal, you're thinking, oh, nice, brace, hat-trick, multiple points. And it was just blue balls for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I thought I didn't captain Salah. I had Iheanacho captain, and I thought I got off easy after watching that game. I mean, all 3 of them were guilty of missing so many chances. All 4 of them, yes, were guilty of just missing so many chances. Even Trent, he had so many potential assists, but it's just not happening for them right now. And the writing was on the wall in the second half, I thought.
Second half, they didn't create much.
Yeah, Newcastle believed more and more as and when the game went on, and not like the thing with Liverpool, they still don't look like a good defense at the moment. They did look like conceding. Newcastle did look decent in attack whenever they were having a go at Liverpool. So yeah, that's just
Joe Ellington had a few decent chances. I remember with Alisson also saved. So they generally, I think, without Phillipson and with Fabinho playing centre back, they look poor.
Yeah, and justice was served. I mean, that Wilson goal that was chalked off in extra time. I mean, what is Wilson to do in that situation? I mean, he literally kept his hand as close as possible to the body. I don't think he could have done anything else. Just hated that goal got chalked off. So I was just, I thought it was sweet poetic justice that Newcastle scored.
As a Salah, Trent, Jota owner in the first half, I felt like tearing my hair out. Particularly Salah and Jota, they could have had at least 3 goals between them. It was very, very annoying.
Don't tear your hair out, Bakar. You start looking like a bald uncle.
I'm glad I'm lucky enough not to be called one. But anyways, I mean, yeah, Newcastle looked threatening every time they went forward, particularly down the right. Liverpool, I mean, Trent is so far advanced that they always get exposed on that flank. And I noticed this happening every single week. Even last week, Leeds had a lot of chances. So Liverpool's defense is looking a bit dodgy, but their fixtures are such that, Trent is obviously worth keeping. Other than that, Newcastle's attack is, it's being overlooked, but they're posting some very good numbers of late. Particularly ever since St. Maximin has come back.
Yep. Yep, and he's driving those numbers. I think he's been the difference maker in that team. A few questions in the chat, boys, about Everton defenders while we're talking about Arsenal versus Everton. Who do you think is the best Everton defender to
I
go
thought
for?
it was, besides Dean, I thought it was Keane, but I think he was carrying some injury. There's a lot of rotation to even the centre backs and the right backs. So I think besides Dean, I find it hard to pick someone who's nailed on to start.
I don't
I
have
would
anything
probably
to
go
add.
with Dean, but there's Coleman, Godfrey. I'm not really sure about them, about how nailed they are.
Exactly.
Agreed.
That's the problem with Everton
Dini
defense.
is the pick, and he's someone I might look at bringing in myself
I think he's a
in a
bit
couple of leagues.
overpriced though.
Yes,
I
he
mean,
is. That's true. That's
does
true.
it matter for 2, 3, 4 game weeks?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
Probably
at
not
this
as
stage, I
much
don't
now.
think that matters.
yeah, I think now till the end of the season, it's all about haul catching. I think value and all these concepts go a little out of the window for the last 5 game weeks of the season.
Right. Not
Yeah.
much. You can move on to West Ham Chelsea.
Yeah, big win for your boys. Absolutely big win. I think
Big
that
win.
puts you all in pole position for 4th place. How do you feel?
Feel confident, and I think that was an audition for the game today. I think we are going to see Aspie at right wing back also against Real Madrid. It's the first time he tried that. Normally he plays Hudson-Odoi or James on that side. I found it interesting that he chose to play Aspie, putting Christensen as the one of the centre
He
backs.
did mention Zoff. He did. Tuchel did mention that he did it because of West Ham's aerial threat from corners. He said that he wanted Christensen, Rudiger, and Thiago Silva, who were all tall guys in the middle, to defend against the set pieces. So that was the ploy.
That's interesting. So yeah, I don't know, but I wouldn't feel secure with either James or Hudson-Odoi starting at right wing back against Madrid. You need somebody who's more defensively minded. So
what I also liked about this game is how actually, Bakar, this will make you happy because Tuchel spoke about the underlying statistics that Chelsea have and how they're good when it comes to not conceding shots in the box and conceding low XG per game and all that. I'm happy that he mentioned that, and he's like, when the underlyings are good, we're expecting to keep clean sheet. So it's definitely something that they're working on for sure.
Chelsea's defensive stats are absolutely incredible. I mean, I do stats for a living, and I haven't seen numbers this exemplary for this long with the same consistency as I have with Chelsea under Tuchel. I mean, the only outlier was the West Brom game where they went down to 10. Other than that, their numbers have been very, very consistent, even in games where they have conceded the odd goal.
What about Lingard? What about West Ham? What struck
I
me
was actually so terrified of the game that I didn't watch it. Like I just went away. I didn't watch it. So I came back. I watched the last 20 minutes of it.
yeah, just one shot on target.
I think Chelsea had the game in control for the most part of it. I mean, they could have won 2-0 or 3-0. Werner with an unforgivable miss. I mean, just doing Timo Werner things this season. What do you think
happened? He still found the back of the net, and I loved his post-match interview. It was very positive. It's very different from the post-match interviews that Torres used to give, where he used to look negative, drained. Timo made very light work about it, like So I really found it very refreshing.
It was basically him saying, "Yeah, it happens. It
Exactly.
went in last year. It's not going in this season. Let's see what happens next year." That's basically his attitude. It's good that it's not affecting him too much. I mean, mentally at least. That was good to see.
Numbers are good, 6 shots, and I think we even had an XG of 2.3, 2.5 or something. So against West Ham, I think we did a good job. We did what was necessary.
I mean, one thing that I noted this week is Moyes' post-match presser, where he spoke about his players tiring and him not having, alternate options, because he's been fielding one team pretty much for the most part of the season, and that seems to be bothering him. The legs are not keeping.
It's the players are not there, right? More than the legs, he's missing Masuaku, he's missing Rice, he's missing Antonio.
Yep.
It had to catch up eventually.
Yeah, because they do have a good run until the end of the season. So it's a tricky conundrum for fantasy managers whether
there's
they
no
go in
conundrum.
or not.
You shouldn't buy Lingard. Lingard's horrible. Lingard XG is shit.
Yeah, I was gonna come to that. I as I said, I didn't watch the game, but I was speaking to a Chelsea fan who watched the game after the game, and he said that Lingard in the last 2 matches in particular has been coming very deep to get hold of the ball, isn't as involved in the penalty area touch in the opposition's penalty area as he has been in the previous weeks. So I ran a comparison over the last 2 matches. Particularly, this is important because since Cresswell has been injured, I noticed that Lingard's penalty area touches have halved. I'm not sure whether this is a coincidence, but I noticed he's dropping deep because, as you know, Cresswell was responsible for the majority of West Ham's chance creation when he was playing. So is it down to the fact that Lingard is dropping deep to get hold of the ball, and because he sort of wants to get more involved and wants to create rather than be on the end of things, because his penalty area touches have halved over the past two games.
I think it's also because of the matchup, because of the game. I mean, with Chelsea, he's not going to get much of the ball, so he tries to do most of the work by himself. And against Newcastle was a separate game, at least in the first 60 minutes of the game, right? Where Newcastle just sat deep and told West Ham, we're not going to give you space to counter, so do what you can. And Lingard normally gets space when there is space behind the defense. He didn't Wolves didn't offer any of that to West Ham. So I don't know how much you can read into the past two games with regards to that. That's all.
Fair enough.
He's a rubbish asset. No one should be buying Lingard.
I'm terrified of him this week as well. I probably won't buy him though.
There's no point now. Now you try to stick it out to the end of the season, right? Go without Lingard, see how it goes.
I can totally see him scoring this week, and then you quoting that tweet of mine and saying the scenes in the Zoph's household when Lingard scores. You can totally see it falling that way.
I'm going to take a shit and I'm going to post that. Literally every other thing I do, I'm going to post that tweet. Me when I take a shit. Right, Sheffield United, Brighton. Brewster started. Got 2 points of Brewster. I think this was the biggest upset, right? Probably of the weekend. This is the one banker result everyone went for.
Yeah. Brighton doing things for 3 games in a row now. No goals that they've scored in the last 3 games, and they've had their chances just doing Brighton things. They need a striker. That's all I have to say about this.
Yeah, I think Maupay had an XG of like 1.4 or something. There was this one chance where I found it. It was literally a point blank shot. He somehow managed.
Yeah, it was actually harder to miss.
It was ridiculous. But in general, I thought Sheffield in the first half of the game, they started a bit better than they have in previous games this season. Maybe, you see that generally when teams are relegated, they usually have the shackles are off, etc., etc. We haven't seen that with Sheffield United yet. Maybe finally now we'll see it in the next few games. Something to monitor. Agreed.
I think the biggest talking point of the game week was that Wolves-Burnley game. More than Burnley, I want to talk about the absolute howlers and individual mistakes that the 3 centre-backs of Wolves have been making. All 3 of them have been guilty of making more than a few errors. So I think they're just done and tired with the season. Even if you remember the goal that Jesse Lingard scored against Wolves, where he ran through the halfway pitch, that Wolves defense just... I don't know. It's not looking good at the moment. It was
horrible. Right in the first 5 minutes, right, of the game, I was watching this. They just played 2 balls just over the centre backs. Both of the times, Wood was through on goal. It was literally on the cards in the first 5 minutes, and this is a very, very different Burnley from even 10, 12 games ago. As soon as they got the ball, whether it was a defender or the midfield, the first instinct was to hoof the ball forward. There's no keep ball, no dropping deep. They were very much the front foot team in this. They could have scored 7, 8, let alone 4.
What do you think happens? Just digressing a little. What do you think happens with Burnley next year? Do they continue on this front foot, or Dash is going to reel it back in and go back to a defensive approach again?
I think the thing is they've had a little bit of a change in ownership, right? They've had American owners came in. I don't know if it's a mandate from them to play attacking football. I'm not so sure. Daesh is the kind of guy who can be dictated to, right? He's going to play how he feels the best way to get results. But I do think it's an evolution of the team. Burnley.
It's very interesting because Burnley generally in the first 10, 12 game weeks of the season, we traditionally talk about Burnley. There are no-go plays, because they take their time to hit momentum, and generally around the 10th, 11th game week mark, they come into their own, and then they're a good holder until the end of the season. But this is interesting, the evolution of that team.
I think they're playing more freely now as well because they're more or less safe, so they can afford to play a bit more freely.
Do you think Wood stays at Burnley next season?
I refuse to answer anything related to Wood or Burnley in this point.
It is interesting.
He scored 10 plus goals in 4 seasons now.
I think there's somebody. I think Luke posted a thread that there's a lack of proper goal scoring number 9s. I think Wood fits the bill. Today, I think Wood could.
He's genuinely underrated when it comes to goal scoring. He's very underrated. I mean, when you look at goal scoring strikers in the bottom 10, that's the difference. I mean, if you have someone who can put the ball at the back of the net, that's almost inevitably the difference. You look at someone like a Fulham or Sheffield United or even West Brom, they don't have an out-and-out goal scorer.
So With regards to Wood, any of you all, just wanted to actually give a shout out to Joe as well from FF Scout. They shouted Wood out on the Scoutcast as well, and he had him in his team and has led to him flying up the ranks. So good job by you, Joe. Any of you all planning to buy Wood at the moment? He's in my thinking because I might be in the market for a striker this game week. What do you reckon? His underlying numbers are absolutely great.
They're off the charts.
And I think this season, more than anything else, you buy the guy in form, and the fixtures are there for Burnley until the end of the season. They do have decent fixtures. They're playing West Ham, Fulham, Leeds, Liverpool, and Sheffield United. Now, none of these teams, except for maybe Leeds, are good defenses at the moment. What do you reckon? I think he's competing. The thing is, when I'm looking to get a striker, Wood's competing with Bamford. Leeds' attacking numbers haven't been that great. I also think that the lack of Rafinha has led to Leeds and Bamford's underlying attacking numbers not being that great. But he does have a good run-in until the end of the season. And then there is the DCL and Ings problem, because both of them have a double game week as well, and we spoke about DCL earlier, where he has good fixtures around the double game week as well. What do you do in this case? I think it's a tough question for FPL managers.
It's a tough question, especially because many of us now have that template 5 midfield, right? I think the problem is, even with, let's say you're holding Watkins, like Bakar is, the thing is you're now waiting to see what's happening with the double. If Watkins has a double, you'd probably keep him. So maybe if you have Bamford, somebody can hop onto. And what I had actually penciled him for, I think 36. That's when Iheanacho's fixtures get a bit trickier, right? For the last 3 weeks of the season, that's when I had penciled him in for.
And personally, I wouldn't be selling Bamford. I think his fixtures are getting better now. So
And
I think that the
Rafinha's
tough time has actually passed. The tough fixtures have passed. So now is the time to actually cling on to Leeds assets. I'm doing the same with Rafinha. And I expect him to do well, particularly in the last 3 game weeks of the season where they face Burnley, Southampton, and West Brom.
How would you
I
rank?
can see them ending well this
How
season.
would you rank these 4 strikers? Would Bamford, if you were to buy this game week or next, would Bamford, Ings, and DCL?
Let me have a look at Southampton's fixtures.
So Southampton have Leicester in 34. They
Yeah.
have a double game week of Liverpool and Crystal Palace in 35, and after that they have Fulham and Leeds at home.
They're not blanking in any of the weeks, right?
No, they're not blanking.
They have a double and they don't have a blank.
Yep, exactly. And the fixtures after the double game week are pretty strong. Fulham and Leeds at home are decent fixtures.
But they're generally
I'd probably go with Calvert-Lewin, Ings, Bamford, Wood in that order.
Wow. Bakar dissing Wood is the biggest anti-climax on the spot.
He's just doing it to avoid the Wood jokes. I totally.
Some would say this runs deep. Sorry about it.
That was brilliant.
This is insane.
Zoph, how do you rank these strikers? Let's get back to FPL.
I think, number one, I definitely think Wood needs to be in the just as purely form. I think Burnley have the shackles off. I'll put him in, even over DCL, to be honest, with the double. Because I have very little faith in the chances they're creating. Because even prior to his injury, DCL, he did all right in that Palace game, but he just didn't have that same swagger that he did early off in the season. Problem with Southampton also, and look at the creativity numbers, they've really dropped off a cliff. They've lost a bit of momentum, and I think in the last 8 or 10 matches or whatever it is, they've collected the fewest points, I think, after Sheffield United. So he doesn't really interest me much. Who was the 4th option?
Bamford.
Yeah, so Wood, Bamford, Ings, DCL.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting.
Are you not paying attention to the fact that both Ings and DCL have an extra fixture?
No, I
think that is very important.
That's what I'm telling you. I think Wood can outscore them even with the fewer minutes.
He's going with the narrative of the season, Bakar, because the narrative of the season has been form over fixtures. This season, the form has dominated.
I personally think that Calvert-Lewin is the best option among them by a distance. I mean, he has a double. Then either side of the double, he has Villa at home, Sheffield at home, Wolves at home.
Correct.
I honestly think that's a bit of a no-brainer.
How many goals?
The only difficult fixture that Calvert-Lewin has is City away in 38. So you can just get him in now and just sell him in 38. So that's why I think that Calvert-Lewin is the outright favorite.
But he has no form whatsoever to back it up, and Everton have no attacking form.
If I remember, I think before last week he was top for big chances missed. So he's getting those big chances. He's just missing every single one.
Before this week, he was top for big chances in the last six fixtures. It was just this fixture. And as I said, I won't read too much into it. Arsenal are a decent defense.
No, correct, but just Everton, I'm not convinced of as in terms of their attack right now. I think Burnley are creating a lot more, and it's just a momentum thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Villa,
Fair
West Brom.
1 second.
Did you
Yeah,
give your
was
top
just-
4 LR for the strikers? Or did
I
you
don't
say-
know. I don't know because it's a little bit of a conundrum. I think what might be
We
the
didn't
best
mention Watkins, by the way, while we were discussing these strikers.
I mean, Watkins you probably dump after 35, right?
Yeah, I'm not big on
Yeah.
Watson. His double game week is also against United and Everton. So
Yeah.
I just rate the other.
Jamie
four.
assist.
Yeah, I just rate the other four more. That's all. Yeah, because I think what I might end up doing is maybe postpone this decision by a week. See if DCL is getting any form. See how sharp Ings is looking this week, and then maybe take a call before the double game week. That's where I am at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Villa, West Brom. Bakar, you want
We missed Leeds United.
Oh, sorry, we missed. I think everyone should have missed that game. It was worth missing. It was an awful game.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Leeds in detail a little later in the pod, so I think we can miss that. With regards to United, I mean, we looked defensively good, we controlled, but our passing in the final third wasn't sharp at all. So it was a bit of a nothing game. Credit to Leeds because there was a significant difference in tactics and how they set up compared to how we faced them the last time around. There was no man marking. There were a lot of men behind the ball. So yeah, Leeds have definitely evolved. Even Bielsa mentioned this in his press conference. So we'll talk about that later. But outside of that, Greenwood had a few half chances, I'd say. Bruno also was in the right spaces, in the right places this week, but we just didn't click in the final third this week.
Yep. Less said about that game, the better. Right? We'll talk about the Leeds and United later, so let's not dwell too much on that. Villa, West Brom, Bakar, you want to take this?
I missed this game. I only watched the highlights, but I mean, Villa's numbers, defensive numbers are worrying. As someone who's doubled up on their defense, I am a bit concerned. West Brom, they are actually a decent attacking side. I mean, the game last week against Leicester, I was surprised they didn't score because they had decent form to back it up. And this is why I expect West Brom to probably score this week against Wolves as well. But I mean, it's just that like if you have Martinez or a Villa defender, you'd probably just keep them. And if you don't, it's basically a don't buy, don't sell category for me.
We need to talk about
Same with
Pereira,
Watkins.
Pereira,
when we're
yeah.
talking about Aston Villa West Brom. He was absolutely sensational in this game, I thought.
Has been for I think he's the highest point scorer since game week 19. I was reading that stat.
Yeah, and his performance was just great. I mean, he even hit the bar once. It was just not about the penalty. I think he had chances outside of that as well. That little pirouette he did on the corner flag as well just shows that he's on the top of his game. You know, the swag that you talk about Zoph so often, he's got it right now. I mean, he seems like a form value pick at the moment, and his fixtures, I don't think they're too bad. And West Brom are right now getting their chances in every game, so not a bad punt.
Yeah,
Still,
they needed those 3 points, so they would have been gutted to concede that late goal. Dropping 2 points, I think, is a hammer blow for them.
Agreed. I think that said, they need to do everything they can to hold on to Pereira in the championship. Because if Big Sam is sticking around with West Brom, and if
I don't think he will. I don't think Big Sam will stick around in the championship.
Because if he does, and if Pereira also sticks with them, I see them coming back like in a year.
I think Pereira will probably stay in the league. I don't see him playing another. He's done too well. A lot of clubs will definitely be in for him.
Yep. I mean, they could have had. I think both teams could have had 4 or 5 goals. This was a really entertaining game to watch, where I think both teams had a 2-ish xG, and it was attacking from both sides, and both the keepers were in good form as well to not concede.
Yeah, Martinez made some good saves. That being said, no clean sheets in the last 6 matches.
Yep. We mentioned that, right, a while ago, that if you have the option, switch to Mendy would have been the better.
Thing with Pereira is his numbers of late have really improved. But I mean, I know quite a lot of FPL managers who invested in him when his fixtures were actually very decent. When you look at his run from 25 to 28, he had Burnley, Brighton, Everton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, and he did not get even a single attacking return in those 5 games. So he's been a bit of a troll that he seems to score in the harder fixture. He ruins the clean sheets of the defenders we own, but when we own him, he doesn't do jack shit.
It's also evolution, right? I think it's unfair to judge him there because I don't think Big Sam got enough time with the team. So if you notice, West Brom have really upped their performance after that little international break where Sam got a good amount of time with his team to implement his methods. So I think that must have made a difference. The takeaway though is right now Aston Villa and West Brom defensively are conceding a lot of chances. So I'd fancy my attackers against either of these teams.
Right. I don't feel like playing my Wolves defender against West Brom next week.
Yep. I wouldn't. If you have a better option, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Leicester, Palace. Palace were good first half.
Yeah, they were showed some solidity. Shout out to again, you mentioned that on your Twitter timeline as well, to James and Planet FPL for shouting out Zaha. Almost went there as well, didn't. But Leicester did Leicester things. Castagna is an absolute beast. He was living in the box pretty much this entire game, and he looks like an inside forward, not a wing back at the moment. So looks like a really, really good pick, even short term, because Leicester defensively are conceding their chances, but I see Castagna as an attacker at the moment.
The only caveat I had is they didn't create much down the left at all. Thomas wasn't very effective. So I don't know if when Pereira comes back, is he going to play Pereira on the left or is he going to play Pereira on the right? And Castagna isn't as effective on the left. That is the only caveat.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up as well. Like on the right, he's a completely different animal, but on the left, I'm not so sure. He did remove Thomas because Thomas wasn't that great in the game, and he brought on Albrighton. So maybe he plans to play Albrighton on the right. I'm not so sure. That's probably too
attacking. Very right-footed. No, he can't play on the left side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Castagna shifted to the left after when he came on.
Right, so something.
What a goal, though! I mean, we need to.
Both of them, both the goals, even Nacho's goal, like that is such the confidence. Who hits it from that angle into the roof of the net? Who even tries shots like that?
And honestly, having watched the game, I thought that Nacho was unlucky not to have had at least a couple of assists. He created 4 chances, and I think 1 or 2 of them were big chances. One was for Perez right at the end, and I have no idea how Perez missed. And there were a couple that Vardy fluffed as well.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I deserved at least, as a captainer, I deserved at least 1 more return out of that game.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Nacho as a captain shout. I think he's being overlooked, like purely because of the price tag, I think, to a certain extent.
No, I think a lot of people punt it on Nacho.
I'm talking about for the next 2 weeks, especially. We have to keep in mind
I'm just adding to that. I'm seeing a lot of people punt it on Nacho this week, and I think at least in the Twitter community, more and more people are seeing that he's a good captaincy option. And there's a real debate happening on Twitter as well in terms of, Kane versus Nacho for the captaincy in 34. It's an interesting debate at the moment. We'll talk about it later.
Right. Let's move on from this section. We've covered it extensively. We'll talk about Leeds, and first we have a stat here from Bakar.
Yeah, so regarding Leeds, I've run a comparison between their defensive performances from Game Week 1 to 24 versus their performances from Game Week 25 to 33. I noticed that the big chances conceded per game have basically halved over the past 8 game weeks, from 2.6 big chances conceded per game to 1.3 big chances conceded per game. And the average XG conceded per game has significantly improved from 1.7 to 1.2 as well. That tells me that they're doing far better now as a defensive team. And over the first half of the season, I remember whenever I was studying statistics, I used to find Leeds at the bottom of every other defensive stat. But now the tables have kind of turned, and now they're doing well. They're in the top 5 for almost all the key underlying numbers. So, and Bielsa spoke about it after the game. He said that, our players are gaining maturity, they're getting experience, and I expect them to, close games better. The only side concern I have is that maybe they've adopted this kind of approach because the games are tougher on paper, and they might sort of revert to type once the fixtures are easier, and they might have a more gung-ho approach because they see the fixtures as more winnable. But I do think that if you still own someone like Dallas, he's a very strong option heading into the back end of the season.
I think he's had like 4 shots on target in the last 4 matches, 9 shots, good attacking stats for Dallas. But no chances created. I think only 1 chance created in the last 4 matches. I thought that was interesting. He's just purely become goal threat now.
Yeah, the thing is, you can show the next 2 tables as well. So when it comes to Leeds, their attacking numbers have dipped massively. Now, I spoke about it earlier as well. It's down to 2 things. The opposition that they've faced. I mean, let's face it, in the last 6 games or so, they've faced Chelsea, they've faced City, they've faced Liverpool, they've faced United. Now, these are 4 of the best better defenses in the league at the moment. So that's something that's affecting them for their attacking numbers to go down. And I think in that team, in the final third, Rafinha is the guy who's sort of like the talisman. He creates everything. Everything goes through him when Leeds are playing, and I think they're missing him as well, which is why the numbers have dipped. That said, they do have the fixtures, and if Rafinha is fit, I'm expecting the numbers to go back again. In terms of attacking prospects. Defensively, it's been impressive, and I think it's coincided with one thing that's missed. People have missed out. Yes, they evolved as a team, but I think Llorente playing in that centre back role, he's shown his quality as well in these past few games. I think that's also made a massive difference. Which is why I think going for Dallas, whenever you get the next opportunity to make a move in defense, do it. Go for it, because I don't think Dallas is going to. I think this is going to be your last season owning Dallas as a defender.
Agree. Yeah. And the attacking numbers are a bit strange, right? So they're 18th for shots in the box with 40. They're 15th for big chances with 10, but 9th for shots on target with 26. So they're basically taking more speculative shots rather than the clear-cut chances that they were getting earlier.
Correct.
And one thing more, Zoff, is that I can see the table that you've posted. The Leeds are in the bottom three for shots inside the box in the last 6. Their stats are always funny to read, because I noticed that against the big sides, their numbers have been very poor attacking numbers, particularly when you notice their stats against City, United, even before that against when they had a few tough fixtures here and there, versus even against Fulham, their numbers weren't that great, and against Chelsea when they drew 0-0. So their numbers have been poor, but prior to this week, they were top for big chances created versus Liverpool, where they had 6 big chances. So maybe that was an anomaly. I'm not so sure, but overall I agree with LR that the fact that Leeds are in the bottom for underlyings over here is particularly due to the fixtures and the fact that Rafinha is missing out. And when he comes back, I'm sure there will improvement for their attack.
I agree.
Somebody is asking in the chat: is it worth buying Dallas even though Rafinha is not there in terms
Very
of
much so.
attacking? Yeah,
Very
agreed.
much so.
Yeah,
because the defensive
I
numbers
don't
are good.
have a problem with buying him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's in fact one of the first top defenders to target for the run-in whenever you get the opportunity at the moment.
Right. Let's just have a look at their numbers also now in terms of defense. So in terms of big chances conceded, they're ranked second in the entire league for the last 6 matches. But interestingly enough, they're ranked 15th for shots in the box conceded with 58 and 17th for shots on target. These are the numbers you see normally from a team like Burnley, right? Not Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, these numbers, if I had to make sense of these numbers, it basically means men behind the ball in the box. They're crowding the box with the bodies in the middle at the moment.
Exactly, which is not very.
I mean, even from the eye test, when you watch the games, they're barely, they're very well organized. They're barely giving away any quality chances to the opposition.
So do you guys think now that the tough fixture's out of the way, there's only Spurs, which I wouldn't really label a tough fixture per se. Do you think he reverts back to an older approach, or he stays more conservative?
I don't think he'll be as conservative as he is against the big teams, but he will be conservative. The team has evolved, and you can't go back to not defending well, I think, as a evolution. So I don't have problems. I don't see these underlying numbers for Leeds changing too much.
I think that the same trend is gonna follow in the next 2 games in particular. I think Brighton away and Spurs at home, they will follow a similar trend, and I can't see much changing. But maybe in the last 3 games of the season, he goes for a more gung-ho approach.
It's something I'm more keen on for next season, because this season, every time we've seen Leeds for our big 6 attackers, we always think captain. But something probably we have to keep in mind for next season, because I think Bielsa is definitely sticking around for at least another year.
All right, moving
Anything
on
else?
from
We can
Leeds.
move on?
No? Yep.
I think we have some stats from Bakar on Bruno, right?
Yeah.
Go for it, Bakar.
We're just addressing. We're talking about Bruno and Jota because a lot of questions whenever we're tweeting coming in terms of what to do with Bruno and what to do with Jota. So we'll start with these 2 questions, and Bakar will kick us off.
Yeah. So firstly, on Bruno, I've run a detailed comparison where I have broken his numbers up into 3 sets of data. So the first is from Gameweek 2 to 25, where he was averaging 7.6 FPL points per game. And the second is from 26 to 29, where he was averaging 4.7 FPL points per game. And then the third set of data is 30 to 33, where he was averaging 3 FPL points per game. So I noticed his numbers and I noticed United's numbers. So from game week 2 to 25, he was averaging 1.28 shots in the box per game, which dropped to zero point 0.5 shots in the box per game from game week 26 to 29. But now I noticed that those numbers have kind of improved to 1.5 in the recent 4 game weeks as well. Coming to big chance involvements, numbers from game week 2 to 25 were 1.28. There was a significant drop between game week 26 to 29, and the numbers dropped to zero point 0.5 big chance involvements per game. But the numbers have risen again to 1 big chance involvement per game over the past 4 game weeks. What I noticed with Bruno is that he was averaging 43% of his total shots as shots on target in the first 29 game weeks. But the problem in recent weeks has been his accuracy. Even though his shots in the box have gone up in the past 4 game weeks, his shots on target percentage has gone down from 43% to 36%, which is probably why he isn't getting as many attacking returns as he was earlier, because the shots aren't on target. Creativity has gone down recently as well. He was averaging 2.85 in the earlier weeks, and now that has dropped to 1.75 per game. Speaking of United as a whole, from game week 2 to 25 early in the season, they were at their absolute peak, and they were doing really well attacking wise. They had an average XG of 1.67 per game. My apologies, which slumped to 1.1 in the middle run from game week 26 to 29, which I believe is United's and Bruno's worst possible spell. But the numbers have improved again from 1.1 to 1.87, which is in fact United's highest XG when I look at the 3 sets of data. What the other thing I'd like to point out is that another reason why Bruno has not been able to get so many points of late is that United have won 7 penalties between game week 2 to 25, but since game week 26, they've just the one penalty. So the underlyings of late have improved. They slumped significantly between game week 26 to 29, but over 30 to 33, they're improving again, and so have United's numbers. So I think Bruno is still a keep for me. I won't be selling. I still think he's the best option when it comes to captaincy in 35. And I won't be too surprised if he bangs again this week against Liverpool, because Liverpool's defensive numbers aren't great. So to address this question, in short, whether to keep or sell Bruno, I still think he's a keep.
I'd agree with you. Let's just have a look at the stats also now we have over here for expected goal involvement for all players for the last 4 matches.
4 matches. That is
4 matches. This one is.
Yeah.
So I think we have right now Kane, Wood, Salah, Pereira, Gale. Bruno's comes in at 6, and this is with just 1 penalty, if I'm not mistaken.
No penalties.
No penalties.
Yeah. No penalties.
Yeah, so
No penalties.
No penalties. So yeah, these are actual chances. And in terms of goal attempts, also like I said, 14 goal attempts. His creativity is upped up quite a bit, right? If you look at this list in terms of expected assists, he's right on top.
Agreed. I mean, if you're looking at the big hitters, you only have 2 big hitters posting better underlying numbers than him at the moment. So in my opinion, definitely not a seller. I don't own Bruno, and I might even think about buying him for another big hitter, especially if he has a double game week in 35, which looks pretty likely because they have a double game week. The potential double game week is against Aston Villa and Leicester. And given how Leicester have also been defending, I thought yesterday's game against Palace was pretty encouraging, and Aston Villa's was well. I quite like the thought of Bruno in double game week 35. So I definitely don't think he's a sell, and he's maybe worth considering picking up now. I think I've been lucky. I haven't owned him for the past 7-8 game weeks, but I think now is the time to go for him, not sell him.
That's interesting. One thing to mention though is he's barely taking any set pieces now. The last 2 matches I noticed, it's all shot. Corners from both sides, most free kicks. So that's one negative possibly for Bruno.
Also, maybe I'm just wondering, maybe if Rashford's little niggle has something to do with it, because Rashford generally wins most of our penalties. It's always Rashford and Martial, and the interplay between them that helps us win our penalties as well. So Martial's not there, and maybe Rashford is playing a little conservatively given that little niggle he's having at the moment, which is why maybe we're not winning as many penalties as we used to. So that's something worth thinking about as well. Our schedule is pretty brutal though, because we're playing our Europa League games as well this midweek and next midweek. We're playing Liverpool in the middle as well, so it's a pretty brutal schedule. But again, I don't see Ole resting in anytime soon.
Bakar, anything to add for Bruno?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the point you made regarding set pieces, that he's not taking too many set pieces. Yeah, this is exactly why his chances created per game have slumped, over the past 4 weeks. So from 2.85 to 2.75, it's
That
fallen
makes
to
sense.
1.75 over the 3 sets of data. That is why the creativity has gone down as well.
Correct. Definitely.
Yeah.
So a huge part of it, right? Set pieces.
Yeah.
What about Jota? I'm
Right.
much more
Let's talk
confused
about
about
Jota.
Jota.
Let's ask first off, do you expect him to start against Manchester United?
No, I think it's between him and Mane for that position. I think Salah and Firmino are expected to start against us. I'm not sure about Jota
He likes
or
Firmino in
Mane.
the big games, right?
He likes Firmino in the big games, and it matters as well. So I'm not sure whether Jota is going to start. In fact, I have him benched in my FPL team as well, because I'm expecting maybe 30 minutes from him right now. That said, if he starts, he's still FPL gold. I mean, I think he could have easily had a hat trick against Newcastle as well. So he's still offering immense value. He's just not on that hot streak that he was on, where every shot he took were inside the net. So it's a difficult conundrum. Where are you at with this, Bakar?
I haven't benched in my team as well. I'm not as confident as you are regarding him being benched, but it's 50-50, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say it's between him and Mane, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, um, it's that kind of week where if you have the luxury of benching him, then sure, go ahead. But if you have to play him, then it's not as if he's a bad option.
The problem is, right, many of us, including myself, I have as many as 5 players in this fixture. You have Shaw, Bruno,
Yeah, same.
DA, Jota, and Salah. So, like many of us do, so it's possible. I don't like that. There's always a ceiling, right? When you're having 5 players in one game, I think maximum I'm going to get amongst all of them is, if I'm lucky, 20 points.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where are you at in terms of selling Jota, though? It's playing on my mind. It is, but I mean, I won't be surprised if he starts against United, scores a goal, and then his fixtures in the final 4 game weeks of the season just look absolutely gold as well. So it's a very
If Zaha had a better fixture this week and we had confirmed doubles, I might have switched him out for Zaha.
fair enough. I don't know. I wouldn't sell him for Zaha. The only player I'm considering selling him at the moment is upgrading Jota to a Bruno or a Bale, maybe. That's the thing. I don't think Zaha's. If I'm just giving my frank opinion, I don't think he's comparable in terms of. I'd say that Jota would probably get as many chances in 30 as Zaha would get in the game. He's just not converted them. If you saw the game, he could have had a hat.
Absolutely. So the thing with Zaha, right, I'm convinced that this transfer window is possibly career defining for Zaha. If he doesn't move to a big club as he's been clamoring for over the last few seasons, I think he's getting close. He's 29 at 28, 29, 30 now. So he's not going to get a move to a big money move to any big club after that. So I do think in the last few weeks of the season, he's going to try to put himself in the shop window. And the fixtures, right, if you look at it after City, the double is quite nice if they do get it as we expected. It's like thinking Southampton and Palace, and then they have Villa, and I think then they have Liverpool. We'll confirm that.
Arsenal and Liverpool.
Arsenal, Liverpool. So I think the potential is there for points. And the thing is, right, Liverpool obviously going to spread their goals around. Goal involvement wise, Zaha is always going to be right up there.
Doesn't sit with me, Zoph. Doesn't sit with me. I'll give you.
I'm not doing it either, probably because of the fixture. But if the doubles are announced and if I have 3 fixtures to play with Zaha versus Jota, with minutes risk, I might take that punt in 35.
Fair. Bakar, where are you at with in terms of holding on to or selling Jota?
Yeah, personally, I'm not looking to sell him at all. I think he's a very, very strong option between Gameweek 35 and 38. Southampton at home, West Brom away, Burnley away, Crystal Palace at home. Doesn't really get much better than this. Even if it comes at a cost of a benching here and there, I don't really mind. And honestly, 60 minutes from Jota is probably better than 90 minutes from most players in that price range.
What about if I can upgrade to a Bruno or a Bale or a Son? What do you think?
I'd find another route to do that. I won't sell Jota because he's not just. I mean, okay, even if you don't put the value thing into it, even if you ignore value, just for sheer points, he has he's so much explosive. If you look at the last 2 matches alone, he has a better expected goal involvement and more shots inside the box, more big chances than Salah and Mane.
Correct.
So I mean, that's how good he is.
It's just not going in for him. So, but there's another thing to consider, right? Now, let's say if you have a big midfield, now Jota is not competing just with midfielders. He's also competing with someone like Wood in my team.
Correct.
Right now. So keep in mind now, Iheanacho I had penciled in to dispose of him for the last 3 weeks, but in this kind of form, I don't think I can.
Nope.
But now
Nope.
I want Chris Wood for the last 3 weeks for those fixtures. So and by that time I might have 2 free transfers to do the rejig. So he's competing also now with Chris Wood. So something you need to look at.
Yep, yep. I just hope Klopp does the right thing and doesn't play Mane, because it absolutely baffles me every time Mane gets substituted. Jota gets substituted before Mane, because Mane is not looking good. He's just not looking good.
It's just trust, right? I think he
He's
trusts Mane a bit more.
yeah, yeah. I just wish he did the right thing though, because I don't. I definitely think Jota deserves to play more than Mane given the form at the moment.
I don't think he's going to play the 4 of them together very often because last game they were very open defensively.
I'm not expecting it against United for
No,
sure.
that's for sure. But even in the next
Yeah.
few fixtures, I don't see him trying it very often because I don't think it worked. They had a lot of chances, but every time Newcastle got the ball, Liverpool were carved open.
What do you think, Zoph? If I can upgrade to Bruno or Son or Bale at this stage for Jota?
I do it because again you're getting guaranteed minutes, and I think you're upgrading to another bracket of player.
Correct. Correct. All right. Interesting. Let's move on. I think.
And obviously, if you can find another route like that, might as well. But as looking at that option in particular, I think is good. Right. Let's move on to promoted teams. So as you guys know, 2 teams have already been promoted to the from the championship: Norwich and Watford.
Bakar, can you hear Zoph?
No, I think we've lost Zoph.
No,
Has this happened again?
no, I just think it's an internet problem right now.
Yeah, I think it's an internet problem. Am I back now?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, it just went from red to green, but it says my internet connection is unstable. All right, we'll carry on. Let's see how it goes. So, Norwich, do either of you guys want to talk through?
Yeah, I'll start with Norwich.
I'll leave the promoted teams to you guys. I honestly, I haven't watched much of the championship this year and haven't done my research on them. So I'll let you guys do the talking over here.
All right. Just quickly touching upon Norwich, I happened to listen to Planet FPL's podcast that James did with FPL Badger, and just a few things to worth noting about Norwich. Where when they got promoted back in 2018-19, they scored 93 goals and conceded 57. Now this season they've scored around 20 fewer goals and they've conceded around 20 fewer goals as well. So they're basically playing in a much more conservative, mature way at the moment. It's not all gung-ho, 4-3 kind of games at the moment. So, that might need to a little switch in perception change in terms of Norwich being the absolute team to target in terms of attacking fixtures. So that's something worth pointing out. In terms of their statistics, again, Pukki was the talisman, 25 goals and 4 assists in 40 appearances. Bundia, 14 goals and 16 assists in 37 appearances. Cantwell didn't do too much this season. He had 6 goals and 4 assists in 31 appearances. So the stats are really good for Pukki and Bundia from an FPL point of view. I think you're going to be looking at these two. You're going to be maybe looking at a defender or two, and you're going to be. I think what's interesting this season when Norwich come up is Tim Krul as a 4.5 keeper option. If Norwich continue to play conservatively and they make some good signings in defense, and primarily the most important thing here when it comes to the Norwich defense is whether they're able to hold on to Oliver Skip. Now this guy is on loan from Spurs, and he's been one of the best players this season. And he plays in the defensive midfield position. And he's a much bigger upgrade to the other options that Norwich have at the moment. So this is something worth pointing out and worth monitoring when it comes to Norwich, whether they're able to hold on to Skip or not. The problem is that Spurs are probably going to get a new manager, which means that new manager is probably going to have a look in at Skip and see whether he wants to use him in the Spurs squad. So it might just be a late transfer as well. If Skip isn't playing in that Norwich team come game week 1 next season, then you just look at Pukki and Bundia. So
something that I found interesting, they scored majority of the goals naturally expect from inside the box, but out of 69 goals, only 3 goals were headed goals. So they're not a team that obviously very good at set pieces. So the centre backs, you have to keep in mind the threat's probably going to be limited, and obviously a team that plays the ball along the ground. 5.1 shots on target per game is pretty good, and they've hit the post 10 times. So even if you assume that half of those goes in, they're close to 74 goals in.
Yep.
60% possession also. So they're still an attacking team, very much so. In terms of their identity, they're still very much an attacking team. And in terms of talisman, right? Like look at Buendia, 14 goals 16 assists. It's much bigger output than from what he put in. Like, from the last time around. Poke, we expected that, but Buendia sort of went under the radar last time. He put in good underlying numbers for creativity, but this year he's upped his goal threat.
Agree. That said, it won't surprise me if he's not playing for Norwich next season, because they've already spent. So what happened last time around when they came in was they did not spend at all in the market. And if you remember, Fake had like a ton of injuries in defense every week. You remember there was a list of 6 to 7 people that were injured in that Norwich team. So they do need to invest if they're looking to seriously stick around in the league, and it's a good project, Norwich. I've always liked that team. I have fond memories with Dean Ashton as a striker for Norwich as well. I think they need to cash in on one of Undia or Max Aarons and invest that money into the club and buy in 4 or 5 good solid players if they're hoping to stay in the league next season.
Yeah. Have a lot of affection for Norwich because they're actually run like, it's a very hometown club. You never expect a club like Norwich to do something like join the Super League or something like, they have an owner who attends games, watches games and invested in the club. It's a good model for other clubs. And the thing is, they managed to keep the same squad. When they came up last time, I think the biggest mistake they made, they didn't invest, like you said.
Yep.
This year they have to invest.
They had Ben Gibson on loan from Burnley, and they had this Greek left back, who they replaced for Lewis, who's playing for Newcastle now. And they've bought these players for 8 million each now. So 16 million of the money is already spent. Now, I don't know how big a budget they have, but to drive more purchases, they'll need to sell one of these big names. Maybe Cantwell, maybe Bundia, maybe
Is Tim Krul still playing?
Yes, of course.
Is he first choice?
Yeah. First choice, I think a decent option for the 4.5 million goalkeeper.
Zoph, I was wondering if Tim Krul can still play for Norwich. Why don't you give an audition for Norwich goalkeeper next season?
I'd be saving penalties left, right, and centre back.
All right, so that's it for Norwich. Zoph, you looked into Watford, so why don't you tell us about Watford?
I'll just cover Watford. Speaking of experienced keepers, Ben Foster is still in goal, and he's doing the thing with his YouTube, right? Putting the camera.
Cycling goalkeeper. If you guys aren't already watching that YouTube channel, you need to search for the cycling goalkeeper, where Foster basically takes a camera, sticks it in the net, and then edits and gives us footage. There was one video which actually Let's Talk FPL, Andy tweeted about it, where he actually gives advice to somebody who missed a penalty against him in terms of what he should have done and what his tell was before he gave the penalties. It makes for interesting viewing. Anyway, go on.
Right. So Watford, they're a good defensive team. In terms of goals scored, 61, they're ranked 4th. But in terms of goals against, they have the best record in the league in terms of clean sheets. I think that 18 clean sheets is wrong. I think I copied over the Norwich number. They actually have 22 clean sheets. Let me just fix that real quick.
Also, while you guys are in the chat, there are 450 of you all watching at the moment, and we've got around 118 likes. So please hit the like button. It really, really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So make sure you're doing that. We need to hit 200 likes right now, guys. Go for it.
Right.
And please click the subscribe button.
We have to make sure Bakar gets wood.
Yep.
So now, in terms of players, now Sar is the talisman again with 13 goals and 4 assists in 39 appearances. One big talent from South America, Joao Pedro. I think they just signed him the tail end of the season. They got relegated. So he's got 9 goals, 2 assists. Zinkernagel is a player that a lot of people who play Elite Serien, the fantasy game, they'd recognize. He's chipped in. I think they got him only in the winter transfer window. He's got a goal and 5 assists in 18 matches. They scored 54 out of the 61 goals from inside the box. 1.8 big chances per game, 6 headed goals. So a little bit more aerial based. 8.3 shots, 3 shots per target, hit the post 7 times. Something worth mentioning, because the stats will average out, they changed their manager mid-season. Earlier they were playing a defensive 5-4-1 when they were 7th in the league. Then they went to a 4-4-2 with Sar playing right mid, and then they switched to a 4-3-3 with Sar actually playing up top. And that's when they went with the run for 16 and 21 matches. And this was pointed out to us by FPL Duck on Twitter, who's a Watford fan. So
if Sar is classified as a midfielder next season playing Liverpool, it's interesting.
It'll be interesting. But what is weird to me, right? If you look at the goals, it's like you have 13 goals out of 61. They don't have as much of a clear talisman, right? Tells me the goals are spread around a bit more.
Agreed.
I think that's what I see from Watford. I don't know. I won't be going near Ben Foster. I've been traumatized by multiple seasons of
Yeah.
owning Ben Foster. Anything
We
you
will
guys like to add?
hopefully get Apple Bonkers, who's a Watford fan, onto the pod so that he gives us more insight about Watford later as well.
But I think with all these guys, it's a fixture play, right? You look at the fixtures early on in the season.
Yeah, yeah. Like if I had to say, if I had to punt, for one of the promoted assets, Gameweek one, I'd probably lean towards the Norwich guys compared to the Watford guys.
Yeah, I think also make a big difference. Hopefully, if they have fans back, because I think that's something the promoted teams have really missed this season.
Yep. Yep.
Having fans back in the first week of a promoted like team is a completely different atmosphere to without.
How good was it to see them in the Carabao Cup final as well? It's so
Brilliant.
difficult to say Carabao, by the way. Carling Cup is what always comes.
It's always better, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. Zoph, what do we
Anything
have
you want
next?
to anything you want to add, Bakar, for these two teams? Should we move on?
Yeah. Let's move on.
Cool. Anything you guys want to add? I have the fixture list up here. Anything you guys like to discuss, or should we move on to the captains?
Yeah, I want to actually discuss that because a lot of questions are coming in terms of what's the more better week to free hit. So I just thought I'd address that because I have that chip pending as well, and I have been thinking about that. So what you need to consider here is that I'm guessing most of you guys own Leicester assets, you own United assets, both of whom have the good-looking double game weeks. Leicester play Newcastle United and Manchester United in 35, and Manchester United play Aston Villa and Leicester City in 35. And I'm guessing most of us have assets from these teams. Now, the other really good fixture this week is Liverpool versus Southampton in 35. Now, again, most of us do own Salah, Jota, Trent. So, what are you gaining out of free hitting in 35 is the question you need to ask. The core of the team is in place with Liverpool, United, Leicester, even Chelsea defense. Chelsea have a good fixture this week as well. They have a double game week against City and Arsenal, and you're happy to play those Chelsea assets, those defenders in this game as well. So you're essentially gaining a punt from Crystal Palace where they're facing Sheffield United and Southampton away, a punt from a couple of punts from Everton who are facing West Ham United and Aston Villa away. So it depends on what your team looks like, but I don't know if there's much to gain given the squad structure and given the template that's floating around at the moment. That said, if you can buy 4 or 5 or 6 double game week players more, go for it, because it depends on the team. Currently, I own 2 players from Leicester, I own 3 players from United, and I own 3 players from Liverpool. So I don't see a benefit in free hitting in 35. I actually think 36 is more advantageous, especially because of the high upside punt you can take on, because Newcastle face Manchester City in game week 36. So that's the fixture we're targeting, because not many people own Manchester City players at the moment. So, depending on who they faced previously before that, I think those 3 players could be worth getting in game week 36. So it depends on what your team structure looks like.
Yeah.
Any thoughts to add, guys?
You could have just opened with I want to captain Aguero in 36.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's me. That's me. I want to catch that one haul before the season ends for sure. Like, that's been on my mind. I'm so excited about Game Week 36 because I'm certainly looking to free hit then and captain him. So
but we had a brief discussion on this last pod, and I do agree with you now that I've thought about it a bit more. In terms of the teams you'd like to pile on, you already have a good, a lot from them. Maybe you can get Zaha, maybe you can get DCL, a defender. Even from Villa, do you really want an attacker? Not really. So I agree with you, I think, in that sense. The way
and people own Spurs players at the moment as well, and they're facing Leeds, which is an okay fixture as well.
That is to be debated, right? Depending on how, what we discussed earlier on. But I think I'm in agreement with you. In terms of free hit, I'd probably play it in 36 rather than 35 now, having had more time to consider.
Yeah, I agree. In 35, the template is strong as it is. And in 36, I mean, with the City fixture, I completely agree. There's far more upside. And, even at someone like an Everton against Sheffield, you can, go with Digne, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, maybe triple up.
Also, because of the structure that people are going to have, they're going to struggle fielding a good enough 11 and 36, because again, the core of your squad is Leicester and United. I mean, a lot of your players are Leicester and United, and they don't have a fix. They potentially don't have a fixture in 36. So yeah, that's
exactly.
Also country.
LR. I think a lot of people are just going to focus on quantity of players. Like, they're just going to focus on getting as many players they can. Most of the people won't be exactly focusing on quality. For example, when you look at City, I highly doubt that people will be buying going down that route, because people are more focused on Game Week 35 right now.
Yeah. Mihir from who's a mod on the chat, he's saying that Aguero isn't fully fit yet. Mihir, if you don't already know me, I mean, I am playing this season so that I can catch that one Aguero haul. That's going to give me more joy than a
He was on the
300k
bench
dream.
also last week, so
Yeah,
right, and
exactly.
we're right now in Game Week 34. In another couple of weeks, he could very well be available.
I just want to catch that one haul for the nostalgia. I really just want to do that.
So when is the Champions League game exactly? It's now we're at starting Game Week 34. So
Pre 34 and pre 35.
okay, so that really doesn't have much of a bearing on
No,
36.
it
does
doesn't.
So by then they definitely would have clinched the league title also.
Yes, it looks like it, especially after we drop points against Leeds. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think if you guys lose to Liverpool and City win, I think that's a league clinched this weekend.
Yep. So then he can just play that team. I don't think he's going to rest the big guys as well because Pep is all
Rhythm.
about the rhythm. Exactly.
But there's some nostalgia also with relating to Aguero though, with Pep also.
Yeah. And it's Newcastle, right? Like it's Newcastle. It's that game where he got those goals
Those
in.
goals. Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely I'm sort of
Yeah,
jealous.
this is just an appeal to the old school FPL fans. We know we've been there with him, so just paying homage to one of the greatest FPL assets we've seen.
You're right. Should we move on to captains?
Yep. Let's move on to captaincy.
Yep.
Right. So in terms of captains, who are your guys' initial thoughts? I'm on Kane currently.
I'm on Kane, but the more I think about it, I think Iheanacho might be the better play. That's where I am between these two at the moment. I don't think anybody else really stands out to me. I don't know how that United Liverpool fixture is going to look like. I think we need to discuss that fixture in depth as well because, like you mentioned, you have 5 players. I think most people have 4 or 5 or 6 players. So who do you play and who do you bench? You want to address that first before we move on to captains?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about it in terms of what do you think is the most likelihood result here? I think the most likely result, given how Ole sets up in these games, is a 0-0.
Yeah, but also the thinking that comes to my head is now Liverpool are 4 points behind Chelsea, who are sitting at 4th. So a draw might not be enough for Liverpool. Klopp needs to go for 3 points for Champions League position, and he really does need to. So what that tells me is that Liverpool will probably be more attacking than they are, which might lead to them being more open as well. So that's something that's playing on my mind. Where do you think Klopp goes for it? Because 4
I
points,
think he
5
will to a
games to
certain.
go.
I think even I think what United are going to do, they're going to focus all their attacks down Trent's side.
Correct.
That's what Madrid did. Madrid's pretty much given you a blueprint for how to play against like Liverpool's defense. So who plays on that side again against Trent? Rashford, right?
Rashford. Yeah.
Rashford, yeah.
Yeah, Rashford would probably go at him. And I think a big difference also would be if Fabinho is playing in centre back or in midfield.
Yeah, and also what happened last time, I remember this, is Solskjaer played Pogba in the front 4 as well, who was threading passes behind that Liverpool defense as well. And I'm expecting Pogba to play in the front 4 again. I'm expecting one of Cavani or Greenwood. I'd say that Greenwood will probably be benched in this game. It looks like a Cavani game, and Pogba needs to play, and he's going to play Fred and McTominay as well. So
big call.
That's where. Go on.
I was saying big call. Yeah. There are a lot of Greenwood owners, I think, who would be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Also, what's going to happen is, see, when it comes to United, those team sheets on Thursday night are going to give a little bit of indication in terms of who's going to be starting against Liverpool. So even that is something. If Greenwood is rested in the Europa League, which I don't see happening personally, then you're seeing that he starts against United. But I'm just talking about tactically what might happen.
I think a good point. You made a good point because if Cavani is starting in the Europa League, then Cavani's chances of starting against Liverpool are very low, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That will probably give you an idea.
Yep. But I'd still be confident about playing Shaw in this game. I'd be confident about playing the United attackers. Between Jota and Trent, which is the debate I'm facing, at the moment, I feel like going in for the player who's more nailed on to start in terms of Trent. And United are not too bad defensively. And I don't expect him to. I fully expect him to play the McTominay Fred double pivot, which means we're generally stronger in defense when he does that as well. So I'm okay to bench Jota because he's not nailed on to get attacking points in this game either.
While we're at this, what would be your prediction for the game? I wouldn't be surprised with the 0-0 personally. I think it's going to be low scoring.
It could be low scoring, but I just think that Klopp has to go for it. And if Liverpool click, then they can score a couple of goals. So,
I think 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
James from Planet FPL is in the chat as well, and he makes a really important point. Phillips's fitness is key as well.
Yeah, I mentioned
Because
that.
that depends on whether Fabinho plays in midfield or defensive, and that's something worth pointing
That's a
out.
huge thing to consider. That affects their attack and their defense, both.
Yep.
But if you ask me to pick a favorite, I would pick United in this game. Is your UCL tie the first one, home or away?
I actually don't.
Europa League tie. I'm sure somebody in the chat would tell us, because there is if it's home, it's always a little bit easier, right? If you have to travel on Thursday, come back,
Home.
play on Sunday.
We play Roma at home.
Yeah, so that makes it much better. I think there's much less fatigue involved, because traveling during this pandemic is a pain.
Fair enough. Very tough game to call. I can't call this one because I think Klopp can't be defensive in this one. So I think that could play into our hands, but I don't know. I just don't trust us enough. That's all.
Bakar?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to call. I agree with your prediction. I think it's going to be something like 1-0, 1-1, maybe even 0-0.
I wouldn't mind a nil. The worst thing would be a 1-1 with a random McTominay goal and the other guy like the Fabinho.
Yeah, but personally, I'm very set on playing Shaw. You know, Shaw.
Absolutely. I think out of all
I'm more Shaw. I'm definitely more sort of confident about Shaw than Trent. For me, the decision is going to be between Trent and Jota myself, because I won't be benching Shaw. I mean, he's taking corners as well, like we discussed. You know, so he's over the past 2 weeks top for chances created over everyone in the league.
14 chances created, and I think, like you said, if I had to pick now 5 players out of the ones I have, I think I would put Shaw even over Salah.
Yeah, so Shaw, his numbers are such that, you know, whenever United are to keep a clean sheet, he's definitely going to be having a good share of the bonus. So he's an explosive option. I won't be, you know, even considering benching him.
Yes, attacking output wise, at the moment, I think Shaw and Trent are almost equal, and I just trust United's defense more at the moment. So that's where
that's true.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be benching Trent though. It doesn't feel right to be because you have set pieces or whatever. Trent.
And he's a special player. He's got that big game quality about him.
Special.
You know?
Absolutely right. And I don't know. The only player out of my 5 I would want to bench possibly is Jota. But I don't really have an alternative as we get to my team. But if you have those 5, probably the only player I would want to bench of that is Jota.
Fair. I think that's the dilemma most people are going to... I definitely wouldn't bench Salah. I definitely wouldn't bench Bruno. These 2 guys I wouldn't bench at all. I'm so happy about that. At least I got the United cause... right very, very early. Both Shaw and Greenwood. That's one thing I did right on the board. I'm very happy about that. Anyway, captaincy. Do you think Kane is fit?
That's an interesting question because he did not look fit. And Ryan Mason basically said, Kane said he's fit, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and
one week of training, he should be fine after 1 week of training, no?
Yeah. I mean, it depends if he was fit to start earlier.
Exactly. How fit was he? Just throw because Spurs don't have a huge chance to get Champions League. So this was their biggest game of the season. So he has to throw Kane in, you know. But you can't even judge. There's no basis to judge Kane on this game alone because he didn't get a chance. City basically dominated Spurs except for that one chance. Lloris had such an amazing game. I think he saved Spurs from having to lose by 3 or 4 goals. He made some absolutely outstanding saves in this game. So how do you even judge Spurs and how do you even judge Kane's fitness of this game? Because we didn't get a look in. We didn't get a chance to see.
Right. Jamie Carragher did a great segment also on Monday Night Football. He absolutely savaged Spurs players, your Reguilon, your Dyer, and in general, the whole organization of the team. Ryan Mason has definitely not had a bounce yet. I know it's been too short, but in terms of capabilities, I really don't know if he has the ability to even give that bounce.
Yeah, fair. I think Spurs missed a trick. They should have given Mourinho this game. Because
see, the thing is, I thought about that and had a discussion about this also. But if the players are not willing to play for you, if the players are not willing to put themselves on the line for you, it doesn't matter who's in charge, right?
Fair. I don't know. I just think when it comes to single game management, he's still
I totally agree what you're saying in terms of tactics. Now he would have been set up better. And from what I could tell in the rumors are that Son and Kane was still on side, but he had completely lost the other guys.
Fair. James is saying that Harry's fit, no concerns. That sounds good. So if assuming that Harry's fit, who do you like for captaincy between him and
it sounds like a silly reason. I don't like having my captain in the first game out of we have the whole entire game week on Friday night.
You speak on behalf of a lot of FPL fans. A lot of people do believe in this.
We play for fun and ultimately my entire weekend is going to be ruined. If Southampton... And this is a little bit of a weird fixture always because a 9-0 will forever live in memory, right? It's always a big game for Southampton in particular.
Yep. I was on Kane. I feel like not going for Kane, and this is the kind of game which suits Kane, right? Where Spurs will get majority of the ball, and when he's getting the ball, he shoots on the side.
They
So
still
he's
gave up a
gonna
lot of
have.
chances, Sheffield United. Even though they kept that clean sheet against Brighton, they gave up a lot of quality chances.
Exactly. You're not expecting Sheffield United to outpossess Spurs, right? We'd be very surprised. And if Kane is getting 3-4 shots around the box and then around the box, one or two of them are going inside. That's the confidence he has. So, yeah, I was almost talking myself into going for Iheanacho, but thinking about it, this is the kind of game which suits Kane. So,
Yeah,
I'm on Kane.
I just want to keep it simple personally. I'm not looking at switching from Kane. I'm very set on Kane for captaincy. This is one of those weeks where it's simple. I just want to keep it that way.
Fair
No,
enough.
correct, man. I think let's say besides Kane and Iheanacho, do you guys see anybody else, a third candidate emerging?
Nope.
Chris
Not
Wood.
not really.
I would say only Chris Wood.
Fair shout. But
Son maybe?
it's
Son?
West Ham, right? Like,
Son
I
is
mean,
not
Son maybe.
Son, I guess, but ultimately, like I'm guess if you don't have Kane, I guess it goes Son. But if you have Kane, then it's an obvious pick there, right?
Even in terms of odds, Son is second most likely to score this week after Kane. So that's what the odds are saying as well.
I just really fancy Bale. If I had the chance to pick one of the two, this is the Bale kind of a game. I really fancy him for this game.
Maybe a City player if he gets benched in the Champions League.
That's an interesting shot.
Someone like Mahrez if he
Someone
gets
like-
benched.
Mahrez is first choice. for
Mahrez
City.
is not getting benched. Like
Mahrez-
Gundogan.
Mahrez and
Foden is
Foden-
also not going to get benched.
Yeah, Mahrez and Foden are both first choice.
Yeah,
City playing
but he was very complimentary to Sterling as well.
Yeah,
So
Sterling played
I
well.
don't-
I thought Sterling played really well.
Yeah,
that game.
so
Very
I don't
well.
think he's going to bench Sterling as well. So who does that leave us with?
Your Jesus, etc.
Yeah, I
Jesus,
won't feel
Torres.
confident captaining someone like Jesus.
I think Sterling sits in the Champions League. I don't see him starting.
Possible
ahead of
because
Mahrez.
Foden, Mahrez depends on where he plays Foden up top. Like
I don't think he plays ahead of Mahrez, Foden. I think he's going to play Bilbao as well in the Champions League, which is why he was rested. I think he's not going to change his formation. He's going to play false striker and Mahrez and Foden on the wings. Maybe Jesus gets a look in, but yeah.
Yep. So I think like we can probably give our top three. My top three in order would be Kane, Iheanacho, and Wood.
What about KDB?
I don't know if he'll start. I don't want to
Yeah.
go there.
You don't want to go there, right? If a big
Because
City
remember, he's coming
midfielder.
back from fitness. He played the Carabao Cup. He's going to play the Champions League game against PSG, and it's a Wednesday, Tuesday turnaround.
It's a risk.
Mir is asking Bakar, what about Lingard?
Nah. For me, my top three would be Kane, Son, and Iheanacho.
For me, it'd be Kane, Iheanacho, and it's really close. I think Iheanacho's form can't be ignored, and it's just not the
unreal.
form, right? But the underlying statistics are in his favor. He's still getting a huge chunk of big chances. He's the talisman for Leicester City at the moment. So it's very close between them, and I don't know who's third. I don't
Iheanacho's
particularly
form
care about.
is unreal. I haven't seen something like this since Cisse.
Yeah, and for the sake of argument, right, it's not like he's defying statistics, which is what Lingard was doing. Nacho has the stats, right? The underlyings are there, so he's not exactly overperforming his stats or anything. He's getting a big chance. He's still missing a fair amount of big chances as well. So his potential and his ceiling is much higher if he puts 2 or 3 of his big chances, or if Vardy is not scuffing the chances that Iheanacho is laying on the plate for him. So that's something.
And Southampton will always give you chances.
Exactly.
Right. Anything to add? Shall we move on to our teams?
Move on.
LR, your team up first.
All right. For the benefit of the listeners, I'll just quickly read out my team. Keeper, I have Martinez. In defense, I have Shaw, Rudiger, Reguilon, and Trent. In midfield, I have Maddison, Salah, and Greenwood. Up front, I have Kane, who's my captain at the moment, Nacho, who's my wife, and Vice, and Cavani. I have Jota and Rafinha on the bench. I might start Rafinha if he's declared fit. So that's something that's on my mind. We had that little debate about Jota versus Trent as well. At the moment, I have Jota on the bench. I might switch that for Trent. Let's see. But the moves I'm thinking of I just want to say that upfront that Krellin mentioned that we're expecting double game week news maybe in the next 3-4 days, definitely before the next deadline. So if you can help it, save a transfer so that you can plan your transfers for the run-in with confirmed double game week news. If you but the moves that are playing on my mind, I thought of maybe selling Jota and getting in Bale because I really fancy Bale, and downgrading Cavani to Wood. Those are the moves that I'm playing around with at the moment. What do you think about that?
I think you'll get a good idea of, like you said, from the midweek game, right? If Cavani starts that game, I think Cavani to Wood I like. And it's interesting you've got Greenwood starting there. I think you mentioned you might think he might not start.
Yeah, yeah. I know, but I still start him over Jota. I think
I
his
got your point
chances.
because Greenwood, he, like against Spurs also, he came off the bench, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I like him as an asset against a leaky Liverpool.
Yeah. Ultimately, this is a passion game for United also, right? You don't want your United asset sitting on the bench, so I can get that aspect of it.
There's a slight chance only because if he wants to play Pogba in the front four, so one of Cavani and Greenwood need to miss out then because Bruno's going to play, Rashford's going to play.
Right. Cool. Let's bring up Bakar's team.
My team?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have Martinez in goal, Shaw, Castagne, Trent, Rudiger, who I'm not so sure will start because he's already started quite a few games and he's going to start in the Champions League. So not entirely sure whether he's going to play. In midfield, I have Salah, Fernandes, Rafinha, Kane captain, Iheanacho, and Watkins. On my bench, I have Areola. Jota as my first sub in case Rudiger misses out. Gundogan is my second sub. I don't think he's going to play because I fully expect him to play in the Champions League. And if he does, then that would basically mean that he started 3 in a row. So that would put him at a very high risk of rotation against Palace. And my last sub is Konsa. And
is this worry about Rudiger founded, Zophar? I am not too worried about Rudiger starting. Those league games are very important.
Absolutely. The thing is, right, Zuma has shown himself to be a bit of a liability down that side. I'm pretty confident Rudiger will play personally.
Yeah, I just want to say that, Bakar. I don't think you need to worry too much about that.
Fair enough. That's my team. I'm looking to save. I don't think I should make a transfer with this team. I think I can save a transfer, maybe use it later in 35 or 36.
Yeah, looks like a good team.
I think I think you can save a transfer this week.
The only slight concern I have is whether or not to bench Jota for Watkins or Rafinha.
How much do you have in the bank?
0.1.
Yep. So there's not much you can go there. I was going to suggest Rafinha to Lingard. Not Rafinha. Gundogan to Lingard. But I guess you would have probably done that move if you had the cash.
Yeah. I don't have the cash, so I mean, what I can do is I can just play Jota ahead of Rafinha or Watkins, and I'm not so sure whether.
Bakar, I'd roll the dice and play Gundogan ahead of all these guys.
You think so?
Yeah. If he starts,
I'm very confident that he won't
Keep in
play.
mind, it's a big game for them, right? They could possibly clinch the title or whatsoever. But I do agree in place of like, I would definitely have him first sub over Jota.
I'd start him over Watkins. I don't think
Watkins, especially Gundogan. I'm not so fond of Watkins as a asset personally.
I'd start
That's
Gundo.
true.
I'd start Gundo. Crystal Palace, if he's starting, you're laughing, Bakar.
That's
It's too high upside a play to miss out on.
That's true. It's not like Watkins has a very high ceiling, right? From what we've seen, he's the kind of guy who's sticking around like 5, 7 and all that stuff.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Start your City assets, even if you're worried about them getting benched. Start your City assets.
Yeah, what I'm worried about is the one pointer, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing with Gundogan. He's not KDB. You've shown that when he does get benched, he does come on. But he does. I think he scored also once after coming on, or assisted. I don't remember.
Yeah, and it's Palace. You take a chance.
The thing is with Palace's deep block, I like these guys who do these runs from deep, right? Because the centre forwards don't get as much joy. It's always the runners from deep who do well against Palace. Something worth considering.
Fair enough.
Right. My team really quick before we jump into the Q&A. Martinez in goal, Rudiger, Shaw, Trent. In midfield, Jota, Son, Lingard, Salah, Bruno. Kane captain, Iheanacho. On my bench, I've got Ben White first sub, Sai second sub, and Brewster third sub. Saving a transfer.
Yeah, I see no reason for you to not do that. Looks like a good team. Absolutely set on Kane?
Absolutely. I don't think, unless there's any injury news or whatsoever, I'd probably...
Not tempted to play White ahead of Trent? No,
I'm tempted to play White ahead of Jota. Because I do think, Brighton have the measure of Leeds from what I saw in the last game, but I don't know whether that was the first game with the new pitch. I remember Leeds didn't have a single shot in the box or a single big chance that game, and that was when they were at the peak of their powers.
Fair.
So
All right. Before we move into the Q&A, just wanted to give a shout out to our Patreon. In case you guys don't already know, we started a Patreon as well, which helps us grow the channel. We put a lot of time and effort into doing this for you guys, and it's just equivalent to buying one of us a beer every month. Shout out to our newest patrons. In the Jimmy Tower, we have Vedahi Patwardhan, who's also a constant supporter of the pod, always liking and retweeting our stuff. So thank you, Vedahi. In the Omar Tower, we have Martin Anderson. We really, really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so much. You can support us by logging on to patreon.com/the FPL Wire. Now we'll move into the Q&A, guys. So feel free to
Bakar,
throw
are you
your
okay to continue if you're hungry or like thirsty?
No, I'm completely fine. Thank you.
just so in case you guys know, he's fasting at the moment. So
Big shout out for doing this talking for 90 minutes while fasting.
All right. Thank you.
it's not easy. It's not easy. Anyway, all right. Jassim is asking if Rafinha's outfit. Throw your questions in, guys. We'll wait. We'll hang around with you guys for about 10, 15 odd minutes. Throw in your questions. He wants to. Surya Shankar, start Jota or Greenwood? Greenwood is my answer. That's what Tejas is asking.
I think it's a toss of a coin, right? But like we said, the midweek lineups will give us a better idea.
That's tough. I still would go with Jota. I was looking at the odds actually because a lot of people are asking the same question, and Jota is 27% to score. Greenwood's 21%.
That's marginal, right? The thing is, if you see Cavani starting in the Europa League, that gives a low chance of him starting versus Liverpool, which means Greenwood probably starts versus Liverpool.
This is assuming that he starts. I mean,
I know the odds assume it, but if both are like with Jota, we worry about game time. I think I would actually start Greenwood. I'm in agreement with LR.
All right.
I think I'd go with Jota.
Question from Mihir. Even though Aspie was benched last game week, is there a good chance he gets benched versus Fulham? What do you think, Zoph?
I think it's unlikely.
What's the question again?
Can Aspie get benched against Fulham?
I don't think so. I highly doubt it.
Who do you start between Trent and Dallas? Shaunak Joshi is asking
Trent.
that question.
Trent, yeah.
Dallas plays Brighton?
Brighton away.
Tough one.
Trent is Trent though, right?
Yeah, but Dallas is playing as a midfielder.
You have to look at him as a midfielder. Just don't even look at him as a defender. Just put him where Rafinha is and look at him as a midfielder. Even then against Brighton away, it's not the greatest fixture.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind because I'm fairly confident if Klopp is going for us, United will score. So that's the thing.
That's fair.
Dallas is an attacking midfielder, so
yeah,
I'd say Dallas.
I don't think I've ever benched Trent though when I owning him in all these years.
Fair. All right. Next question. Start Bamford or Jota? From Pritesh Shetty, who's a regular listener to the pod.
It's tough.
These are tough questions.
Very tough questions.
This is very similar to my Rafinha and Jota question.
If Rafinha is fit, I definitely start Bamford. That's a
good point. That's a good point right there.
Probably Bamford, yeah.
Yeah, but if Rafinha isn't, then
if Rafinha
maybe
is fit, then you have Bamford with penalties, etc. I think it's Bamford.
All right. Somebody asked us if we're going to do a lessons learned pod. Yes, we are definitely going to do a post-season lessons learned pod, probably after Game Week 38 or just before Game Week 1 next season. We also have some very interesting things planned for pre-Game Week 1 next season as well. We have Albas89 throwing in a super chat. Thank you, Albas. Would you go Bruno to Son or Rafinha plus DCL to Son plus Davis for a -4 hit? Tagu Game Weeks also considered.
I would do neither.
I like Rafinha plus DCL too. Actually, neither. Bruno is a good hold. Rafinha.
DCL is a definite hold with the fixtures and the blanks the way they're panning out.
Yeah, now's not the time to sell DCL for sure.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I agree. I don't think it's a time to sell Rafinha as well. I think his hard fixtures have passed. Now is a good time to hold him.
Yeah, and all three of us are very much on board saying that now is not a time to sell Bruno as well. Krish Amisur, who's a regular listener of the pod, he's asking start two of Rafinha, Jota, Shaw, and Watkins.
Shaw and Rafinha.
I'd say Shaw and Jota. I mean, Rafinha depends on fitness. I'm assuming he's not going to be fit. I'd say Shaw and Jota.
I think Shaw is unanimous, right?
Yeah. What if Rafinha's fit? Okay, let's assume Rafinha's
Yeah,
fit.
exactly. Let's assume. I think if Rafinha is fit, I'd probably play him over the other guys.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
agree.
Agreed. Uh, Sigurdsson or James Rodriguez, good picks. We spoke about this, Mufid, on the pod earlier as well, where we're not expecting James to play close games together, and Sigurdsson is not playing as further up the field as he used to now that DCL is in play as well. Madison, keep or sell. Varun Manchal is selling. I'm a frustrated Madison owner as well, but you keep him until the doubles, and then you get it in 36.
Yeah, you keep him, but I don't think you should expect much.
Keep it next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's still gaining fitness. He doesn't look as sharp as he did.
That's what it is. But it's a fixture play, right? We have Southampton, Newcastle. No point getting rid now.
Vishal Reddy is asking, would you get rid of Bruno to bring in Son? I wouldn't.
No,
not with a double, right? If you're expecting a double for United, I know it's like we talked about it not being a real double, but Bruno's probably the main captain option for 35 if we do get a double.
Yeah.
All right. Barry is asking an interesting question. What ranks are you guys realistically targeting until the end of the season with 5 game weeks left? Zoff, you have the most interesting season amongst the 3 of us. What are you targeting?
Just to stay in the top 10k, I'd be happy with. If I get anything inside 5k, I'd be delighted, but I'd be very happy with a top 10k finish. And
Bakar?
I'm at what 9.2k now, so just have to hold.
Yeah, I'm at 87k at the moment. I would ideally want to get into top 50k. I'm not sure whether that will be manageable.
Easily, bro. Top 50k you can get. I think even 25.
But yeah, that's the target if I can hit it.
Yeah, I think top 50k is very much doable.
Yeah, I'm having a good couple of weeks as well. I rose from 1.1 million to 810k in the last 2 game weeks. I was happy with that climb. But my aim for the season is to catch one Aguero Hall as captain. So that's my aim. Don't care about the rank at the moment. 2 exciting differential picks for the run-in. Any differentials that you guys have in mind?
Chris Wood still counts, right?
Chris Wood still counts. Very much a differential. Anybody else? This is a thicker.
This is tough.
Leeds are up there. West Ham are up there. Liverpool's up there. Bale.
Bale's a good one. I like that.
Bale. I like Bale. Yeah.
I've been fancying Bale since the last 2 weeks. I think he's going to do what Pogba did once Mourinho left the club. I think he's just waiting to show. I think he's a great captain. I think he's the best captaincy punt in game week 34.
Bale is actually a very good shout. Nobody else I can think of in midfield or in forward particularly.
That's why I want to do it, by the way. That Jota upgrade to get Bale, I'll captain him.
I mean, Richarlison or Robertson, maybe I'm not too convinced.
Yeah, neither really stream that high point potential. Richarlison is very frustrating to own.
Yeah.
Maybe an Arsenal player given their fixtures.
But
maybe an Arsenal player.
I mean, they look so out of it, right? Even in I don't know, the defense attack. Who from Arsenal?
That's the problem, right? With Europa, and you don't know who's going to start.
Lacazette is injured. Aubameyang might as well be injured.
Yeah. FPL Mihir is giving me grief, because I was actually talking to him and he was at around, I don't know, 5 or 6k, and he was asking whether he should play defensive or attacking, and I gave him grief. He was like, what the fuck is playing defensive? Go for a high finish. And he's like, I'm not telling you anything. Mir, I know this guy for the last 7-8 years now, so I know what he's all about. He's very happy to play this way, and I'm not going to change that. Does Alonso start against Fulham, Zoff? Mihir Kaslikar is asking us that question.
Interesting, because we have a good turnaround also, right? We have an 8-day turnaround. Ours isn't the 6-day like City. Against Fulham, do Fulham have any very tall players in particular? I don't think so. Chilwell, West Ham. I think there's a chance. No. I think you keep Alonso for one more game. Start Alonso for one more game. Probably get rid after, because I think there's Man City after this.
All right. I think how long are we doing this for? 5 minutes more? I think we could give Bakar some time off then.
Yeah, I'm fine. If you want to go to 5 minutes and if you want to stop, I'm fine either way.
Interesting one. What one rule change would you like to see in FPL next season?
No captains.
Bakar?
Honestly, I think the game was much more simpler without the chips. I liked it that way.
Yeah, I liked it. No captains, one wildcard for throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the captaincy, but I think it adds that little bit of excitement to the game. I think it become too dull. So keep the captains, but throw away all the chips and keep one wild card. That's fair. Yeah. But I don't see them doing that at all.
No way.
Yeah. Is it a bad? Vinay is asking this question. I'll ask both of you all this. Is it a bad move to get in Lingard now?
Bakar.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a decent move. If I had the cash, I honestly would have done it, but I don't. I think it's a decent move to get him in now. His fixtures till the end of the season are decent.
I agree. Zafar, anything to add?
Get Lingard.
All right. Cool. I think we'll end this now. We've gone on for an hour and 40 minutes, which is a pretty long time. So thank you guys for watching, listening, being with us. In case you guys have joined in now, watch the first 10 minutes of the pod. I thought they were absolutely great. I couldn't stop laughing. And hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for being with us. See you on the other side. Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks for joining in, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for joining in. Please stay safe. Thank you.
Jigs John has just have you cut the stream? Because he's just in a super chat and I'd be rude not to answer.
Why not? Let's go for
go for Timothy Castagna or Dean for the double game week.
I'm going with Dean now.
Dean has an extra fixture, right?
Yeah.
Dean has. Still, Castagna is an attacking.
Yeah, but you look at the fixtures for the end of the season. I think
Exactly.
You sort of
36 to 38.
You sort of missed the boat. You sort of missed the boat on Castagna a little bit, I feel.
I got sucked in thinking long term and I went for Trent over Castagna. I was debating that this week. So, yeah.
Anything else?
Nope. I think that's it.